right. Hey, what is up, YouTube? Jeremy, aka Wild Child Inc., otherwise known as Crush Justice, or if you're old on my channel, 2346, depending on what era you came from in watching my content. As you see by the title, this is gonna be a little bit of a different video, just looking back on what it is to be old school YouTuber. You know, 15, 17 years out and 2,000 subscribers. Now, in today's, modern terms of YouTube, that's not a lot, but that's more than I ever wanted, starting out as a preteen, just randomly uploading videos, okay? So first and foremost, I want to thank everybody who stuck with it all these years, seeing my content grow, changing from gaming videos with World of Warcraft, Gaia Online, to, guitar and band videos when I was still active with my thrash metal band in high school, all the way up to now where it's been primarily about my car, my G35, and driving and sharing the experience. So thank you all for sticking around and, extending past the channel, following me on my Instagrams, following me through with cars and anime as it grew, etc., etc. So thank you all for sticking around for the different ventures. This video, like I said, is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be more about a rambling and look back at what it is to be old school YouTuber to modern standards. So just looking back, I started YouTube back in 2006, late 2006 or early 2007. And I know this particular account says I joined in 2009, but I made this separate solely because I wanted to start anew. My old account primarily, again, was Gaia Online, World of Warcraft, so very period correct for a preteen at that era. The biggest thing at that time was probably machinima, and that's where I originally geared my content, was making machinima, and that's what it was. Arguably my most viewed videos on YouTube are my old World of Warcraft videos, albeit they aren't the best, but they garnered the highest views solely because YouTube back then didn't have a powerful algorithm, or lack of an algorithm. What you looked up on YouTube back then was what you were gonna get. You look up World of Warcraft, you're gonna get World of Warcraft. You look up World of Warcraft Illidan versus Keltis, for example. That's one of my most popular videos on my old account. That's what you're gonna get. There was a sequential order. There was no algorithm pushing sponsored posts, pushing things out of the way. That's how you were seen. And that's pretty much how old channels grew, as we all know. And that's pretty much the formula I kind of stuck with, is just turning out content that I wanted to share. I never wanted to be a big YouTuber whatsoever. I just wanted to share content that I thought was cool, and I wanted to share it with my family and friends. And that had carried out within all the things I did, whether it be the World of Warcraft videos, whether it be the guitar stuff, the band stuff, and my car stuff. If you look at my bio on YouTube, it literally says I shred on guitar and document, grassroots cult culture for my family and friends to enjoy. And that hasn't changed in over a decade, okay? So, and that's also on my Instagram or all my other social media. So, thing is, I like to keep it simple, straight to the point, and throughout time, obviously, YouTube didn't prioritize, or kind of more or less stopped prioritizing authenticity, and that's okay. Like, for somebody like me that just wanted to share the experience with people that found some sort of joy or value out of it, that's okay. Like I said, never wanted to be a big YouTuber. But, looking back, 17 years on YouTube is a long time. And again, thank you for the 2,000 subscribers, because, like I said, never expected to get that many. You never wanted to get that many, but here we are. People still stuck around and enjoy whatever small things I put out there. I started YouTube just because, like I said, wanted to make out, random videos that I wanted to enjoy. Now, mind you, before the machinima stuff, back in 2007-ish, I used to make stop motion videos on a flip camera. But unfortunately, I deleted all those videos, and I wish I kept those videos because they are a relic that I could look back to in reference to where I actually started. Now, there's value into the stuff that I made, although I didn't make it big. Ultimately, media production is what I do full-time professionally now. Ultimately, it made me pursue my career in digital marketing, which is ultimately, requires a lot of content creation. And none of that would have been in my interest had it not been for me messing around on YouTube and having to learn things like Sony Vegas at the time, before it was just called before it got called Vegas by itself. But you know, learning Sony Vegas, learning Premiere on my own at a very young age with very little knowledge on the internet. Now everything is there for you, multiple tutorials, everything's at the fingertips. You just have to be willing to sit, you know, and learn and practice, you know. And you know, I continued making Wow Machinima videos, and eventually made my way to this channel, which used to be called Crush Justice, primarily showcasing guitar videos and my band at the time, from like, you know, 2010 to 15, 16 or something like that. That's when, you know, I was just uploading random guitar videos, showing my progress as a guitar player and showcasing my band, because I used it as a medium, because social media back then, you know, before it got heavily capitalized or, you know, commercialized, you know, it was the early way of promoting very grassroots local bands or any art in general, and it still is to this day. But people kind of get preoccupied with the big influencers that they see nowadays. You know, there's still power in being a small YouTuber or small content creator. You just have to focus it more locally or in your small community first. So build small first, the grounded foundation. You know, if being big is your goal, start small. And that's where everybody starts. And I hate to say it, but like, a lot of influencers like to promote that they start small, but that's not the case. A lot of it, you know, a lot of people won't admit that they pay for the advertising or pushing their, you know, pushing their content. In Sueko, for example, he admitted he's you know, started as a SoundCloud or YouTube musician and on Instagram. He shared his stuff on Instagram, but he even, on a podcast or an interview, he even mentioned that he started getting big and started seeing numbers when he paid for, you know, pushing his Instagram account that pushed his demos, etc. And that's how most modern YouTubers or influencers get big these days. So that's the reality of it. People, a lot of influencers don't say it, but that's the reality of it. You know, especially me working in the field of digital marketing, that's just how it is. You gotta pay to win. Unironically, the MMORPG of practice of paying to win works in real life, especially if you want to make yourself big out there. You gotta invest in yourself to get big, right? So with that being said, I think that authenticity was lost in YouTube for a hot minute, and people still kind of see it that day, but there was a specific time period when it fell off. 2016 to 2020-ish, especially in the 2020 eras, it was, you know, not prioritizing the grassroots YouTuber that's making raw video and just being genuine about themselves. It started pushing all these sponsored things because the growth, the commercialization of everything, that's where the big bucks were when corporate started taking over. And you can more or less say when YouTube sold itself to Google is when it actually lost itself, but you know, it stayed, you know, grassroots for the most part, right? It stayed grassroots for the most part of its transition behind that time. But fortunately, I see that YouTube is more or less kind of rewarding the grassroots content creator again recently. I've seen more channels pop up on my feed that are smaller, have less video production in it, and it's just straight to the point. You know, one extreme example being Sam Sulek. Raw cut, straight to the point. Yeah, he has his niche of being a bodybuilder or fitness influencer, but there's no heavy editing in his video. You see Sam Sulek as he is through and through on YouTube and on Instagram. Very simple, very genuine. And there's a lot of other smaller YouTubers that are getting that attention these days. And the closest thing that I think is kind of harkens back to original YouTube's output and reach is probably their shorts function. The shorts function, I feel, has been the closest thing to old YouTube being sequential. It's, yeah, it may not be super, like, you know, sequential in the fact that it's, you know, on the front of your feed, but there's still more opportunity than there are the long format videos, I guess, for discovery these days, right? It's kind of similar in that sense. But more or less, I see YouTube rewarding the small content creator doing raw, low production videos. And that's personally where I'm at. I always kept my video production, you know, levels low because I do it full time. I do it as a job, and I don't want to do what I do for fun to be, you know, at the level that my job is, because it kind of takes away my, I guess, craft and authenticity to it, because you get sucked up in the video editing process of, oh, it has to look this way, it has to look that way. I like to just keep it raw, or kind of as raw as it can be, just straight to the point, minimal editing, doesn't need the flash, doesn't need the bells and whistles, just to get the point straight across. But unfortunately, YouTube didn't reward raw edits like that for the longest time, especially when I was churning out my G35 videos. I tried to keep it super simple, straight to the point, but I was in competition with, you know, the rise of YouTube car vloggers, right? You know, there's a point in the 2014s where there are two types of car YouTubers: the vlog type, or the, you know, authentic grassroots drivers types. And I fall under the grassroots drivers types, and unfortunately we got, you know, overrun in the dust with the YouTube car influencers, you know, the ones that had 80% random vlog stuff and 20% car stuff, maybe 10% car stuff at most at the time. And that's where I kind of lost out. But I'm glad that I still had the small G35 community, or people interested in toge, grassroots driving, that stuck it out with me, you know. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, those who succeeded as car vloggers have expanded beyond just doing car vlogs. Now they're doing professional things within the car industry or automotive industry, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, I never wanted to be a big YouTuber. I just enjoyed sharing my craft. So, you know, looking back, there's a lot of value that I've got from YouTube. It led me to follow the career path that I have today in digital media production and digital marketing. And, you know, that is my biggest takeaway, is that I still am able to create videos when I can, or when I want to, about things I want to, and ultimately expanded beyond YouTube into Instagram. Obviously, for those who know me outside of this channel, Cars and Anime San Diego is my event that I host here in San Diego, because, you know, what I learned on YouTube, raw content creation, is how I promoted Cars and Anime. It's just exposing the love for anime, the love for motorsports driving or grassroots driving, and creating something that introduced new audiences from either genre or either hobby into getting into one or the other, and mixing them into a hybrid culture. And that's where I'm at today, is prioritizing, you know, Cars and Anime as an event host, you know, outside of my 9-to-5 job, right? So I still make content, not necessarily on YouTube as much, but on Cars and Anime itself, or, you know, whether it be flyers, memes, or educational content on grassroots culture, on driving. That's where I'm usually at, and that's where the content I prioritize is there. But, you know, that's pretty much a majority of what I can say in terms of looking back onto my YouTube career and path. I'm still gonna, you know, upload videos on hold on, we're parking here, but I'm still gonna upload videos on my car. I obviously didn't get to upload it a lot in the last year, because unfortunately I did get laid off, and it wouldn't be smart of me to you know, work on the car or do track days without, you know, a steady flow of income that can financially support the hobby, etc., etc. And occasionally I'll probably upload some guitar videos still when I feel like it, but you know, just a little teaser, I am probably gonna work with one of my friends, collaborating as Cars and Anime, and we'll do a little track day probably in December, where I could get the car out. I want to fully document that and give you all rundown of all the upgrades that I got. You know, I got all the upgrades, the angle kit, diff, etc. dialed in my suspension over a year ago, and I still haven't got to drive it 100% other than testing it a little bit. But I want to do a full shakedown and share my experience on all the parts that I've put on the car. So that's what is in planning for now. Obviously, if you follow me on Cars and Anime, especially if you're local to San Diego, we host you know, the anime related car events, or we participate in local anime art shows such as BizBaz or FangiaCon and a few other conventions down here. You know, that's where you can find me primarily. But you know, other than that, thank you all for being a part of my YouTube journey, and those of you who continue to stay, you know, thank you. And anybody who comes across this video, welcome to the channel. I hope you enjoy what I put out there, and yeah, from here on, I'll catch you all in the next one. I'm gonna go lift some weights. See you next time.